Hello, Blue Delta Wolf here. This is Magic the Gathering 2014, and this time we're going to do a Sweet 60 for the amazing deck Hall of Champions. So I'm glad to see a return from Elspeth. She was definitely one of my favourite Planeswalkers, and she's now controlling white, blue and green. So this deck, it could be controversial I think, but I've been playtesting it a lot today, and I think I've got it pretty much perfect, or at least how I want it to be anyway. So it's 60 cards as always, 25 creatures, 11 other and 24 land. Now you might think it weird that I don't use Terramorphic Expanse. I know that the card has a use, especially in these kinds of decks, but every time I come across a Terramorphic Expanse, it always slows me down by at least one turn, and it really annoys me. So I thought to myself, why not just replace 3 Terramorphic Expanse for 1 more of each type of land. So now I have 10 white, 6 blue and 8 green, and it works a lot better for me that way. Of course there's a chance I could be land fucked, but I think I've got it just right. So 24 land is plenty, and there's a nice ratio of what I need there. So let's make a start then. So this is an Exalted deck with other effects as well, and it works very nicely. Akrasan Squire costs 1 for a 1/1, but it's Exalted. So if you don't know what Exalted is, basically if a creature attacks alone, it gets a +1/1 for every point of Exalted on the board, on your side of the field. So if I had 4 of these down and attacked, it would in turn get an extra 1, 2, 3, 4 1/1 counters, making it a 5/5. Very strong indeed. So I got 4 of those in there. Deft Duelist. He has First Strike, or she maybe, and Shroud, meaning she can't be targeted by the enemy for like spells and stuff. She is a 2/1, but the First Strike really helps, especially if you have a few points of Exalted on the board and you know that the enemy has a certain amount of blockers. The First Strike will come into play. If you wanted to take that out, you could take it out for maybe another Qasali Pride Mage or a Jessian Infiltrator, which is actually better in a way because it can't be blocked in the first place. So I could quite happily take that one out and put Jessian Infiltrator in, for example, have 2 of them. Your choice. They both work well. Notvine Paladin. It costs 1 of each green and white for a 2/2. It's like Exalted, but it's got a different way of wording it. Whenever Notvine Paladin attacks, it gets 1/1 until the end of turn for each untapped creature you control. That's pretty much how Exalted works, but this one just words it differently, and it might lead to some interesting attacking modes. Qasali Pride Mage, 2 for a 2/2, Exalted again. You can pay 1 to sacrifice him and destroy target artifact or enchantment. So that's good if you've been, pacified or whatever. Or there's lots of things that can destroy, so very handy indeed. Plus it has the added bonus of Exalted. Avon Squire, 2 for a 1/1 with flying and Exalted. Those flyers can just go over the head. Jessian Infiltrator, as I just said, can't be blocked. Sigil Blessing. Now this card is good. I'm not that keen on it, so I'm actually going to take out and just leave 1 of them in there and put another Qasali Pride Mage, I think. Yeah, definitely. So there we go. I'm not building as I go, but I'm just seeing little niggles that I want to address. Janara Azura of War is a legendary angel. She costs 1 green, 1 white and 1 blue for a 3/3. But the amazing thing about her, she's flying, and you can pay every turn to put a 1/1 counter on her. Now this has an amazing amount of functions. For example, you could put Pariah on her late game when she's buffed up to 7 or 8, and it would be very difficult for the enemy to damage you then at that point. Or you can just build her and use her with the other Exalted creatures to attack over their heads. Very strong. Guiltspire Avenger, same price as the last card. He's also Exalted, but he can destroy target creature that dealt damage to you this turn. So basically if any enemy attacks you and you don't block, you can then tap him to destroy that creature. Very good indeed. Rox Warmonk, another 3 for 3/4. He has lifelink. Now you might not think, oh, where's the Exalted, but it doesn't matter. He's an amazing blocker, very cheap to get out, and if you do attack with loads of Exalted, the lifelink just gets higher and higher. I found him to be very useful. Qasali Ambusher, 3 for a 2/3 with reach. You can use him with flash if a creature is attacking you and you control a forest and a plains, which would cost to get him out anyway. You can cast him without paying its mana cost and as though it had flash, so there's a free blocker for you. Amazing. Guardian of Akrasa, I do like this card. It's a 0-4 defender, but it has Exalted. It just kind of sits there and buffs all your attacking creatures up while keeping the board safe for you early game. Court Archers, Reach, Exalted, does exactly what it says on the tin. This deck doesn't have many flyers, so you have some flying defense there. Behemoth Sledge, this one's debatable. You could put it in or not. It's not really an equipment deck. I mean, I could quite happily take this out and put another... Let me have a look. I could put another Rocks Warmonk in there for Behemoth Sledge. I think I'm going to do that, actually. Or maybe another Guardians of Akrasa. They're both good cards. It's your choice. Yeah, let's have 2 of each. I don't really like one equipment just sitting there. It does have a good effect, but this deck is great enough with just Exalted alone. Okay, Pariah, one of my favourite all-time cards. Very, very tactical. You can place it on an enemy creature that you can't defeat right now. So say he brings out a big creature, just put that on him, and if he attacks, he kills himself. Or if any little ones attack, they do damage to the big one. And if basically they weren't enough to kill it, then it's just nothing happens. But if you put it on one of your own indestructible creatures, for example, or one of your high defense creatures, it's very, very difficult to kill that creature, and you won't take damage until you do. So I really love Pariah. Loads of uses. Bant Charm, very, very good. Has 3 uses. You can destroy artifact, put a creature on bottom of its owner's library, or counter instant spell. So a very, very good card there. 3 of them. Rafik of the Many, costs 4. Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike. So that's basically the best thing you can do for Exalted. Really, really strong. Knight of New Alara. These artworks are amazing, by the way. Costs 4 for a 2-2. Each other multicoloured creature you control gets 1-1 for each of its colours. So this guy would get a plus 3-3. So he'd be a 6-6. Just to give you another example, he'd be another plus 1-1, 1-1 there. This guy would be a plus 2-2. So it has lots of uses to get that one on the field. This is one of the best cards in this deck. So it costs 4 for a 4-3 with flying Exalted. That's good enough. But all other creatures you control have Exalted. Now if they already had 1 point of Exalted, they would get another point of Exalted. So for example, see this guy has Exalted. He would increase anyone that attacks alone by 1. But that angel would make him have 2 points, so he would give a plus 2-2. And that can lead to some absolute crazy combos. 2 of them in for sure. Rock's Charger, Trample Exalted, a great one to attack with Trample. Ivory Mask, you have Shroud. You as a summoner cannot be targeted by anything. So you can't be targeted by flame spells or making you discard a creature, I think. I'm not sure on that one. Another angel with Exalted and flying. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink until the end of turn. Amazing. Finest Hour, I put 2 of these in. I could take 1 out, but I would like to draw it, when I have 4 or 5 land, just to make sure I get it out. Whenever a creature you attack alone, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap that creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. That deck was amazing in the 5 mana colour last year. It's going to be really good in this deck as well. Privileged Position, other permanents you control have hexproof. So you can have Shroud, your permanents can have hexproof. Tulsimir Wolfblood, I love the artwork on this, I love wolves. All green creatures get 1-1, white creatures get 1-1. If they're green and white, they get 2-2. And every turn you can put a legendary 2-2 green and white wolf creature named Voja onto the battlefield. Well, you can only do it once until it's dead, because you can't have 2 legendaries with the same name on the field. But still very, very strong card, I love it. And the best card in the deck, Imperial Archangel. It's expensive, but over time you will have enough mana to get this out. She has flying, Shroud, and all damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to her instead. So I really, really love that card. She comes with her own pacifism. Or Pariah, sorry. So there's my deck, guys. I'll tell you the cards that didn't make it just quickly. I'll give you a quick reason why. I explained Terramorphic Expanse. Deft Duelist, it only has First Strike, no Exalted. It's not a bad card. It does have a place in this deck, but I didn't put it in. You've seen that one. Sigil Blessing is a good card. I've got 1 of those in. Martial Coup. Put X 1/1 white soldier creatures onto the battlefield. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures, including your own. That had no place in this particular strategy for me. You've seen that card. Dauntless Escort. Sacrifice Dauntless Escort. Creatures you control gain indestructible until the end of turn. So that's not bad. It should have a place, really. I mean, it would be a specific time when you'd need it. It doesn't have Exalted, so I didn't put it in because its effect is too situational. Court Archers, you've seen that one. You've seen that one, Pariah, Bant Charm. Wargate is good. You can search your library for a permanent card with converted mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. I mean, that's expensive. You have to pay 3 before X. So if you wanted to put a card that cost 4 out, you'd have to pay 7 for this. I don't really feel like playing that card. Leonin Armor Guard. When he enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/1 till the end of turn. It looks really nice. I'd like to be able to put it in. Who would I take out? I think I'm just going to leave it out for now, but it is a good card, just so you know. Restoration Angel, beautiful artwork. She's flying, flash. When she enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-angel creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. There are many uses for this card, but it doesn't fit with the theme of this deck. But it's got stunning artwork. You've seen that one. Faith's Reward. Return to the battlefield all permanent cards in your graveyard that were put from the battlefield this turn. It's good. I didn't feel like playing it. This guy's expensive for a 2/4. It's got cool artwork and stuff. It fits the deck really well, but it costs 5 for a 2/4. I don't see the... I think that's too expensive. If it was a 4, I would have played at least one of those. Same for this one. It costs 5 for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets 2/2 and flying. That's good for Exalted, but still, it's not worth it for me. Gleam of Resistance. Creatures you control get 1/2 until the end of turn. Untap those creatures, and you can cycle it. It's expensive. It's not what I would want. I did originally put this one in. It does cost 6 for a 3/3 with Vigilance, and I was thinking of using it as my land, getting my land, but the way I see it, by the time you've already got 6 land, you don't need this effect. You really don't need that effect. I mean, yeah, it'd be good to get all your cards in your hand and stuff, but it's very expensive for a 3/3, and it's got cool artwork, but I took it out in the end. Mirror Sigil Sergeant. Trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a blue permanent, you may put a token that's a copy of him. So every time it's your upkeep, you just keep putting copies of this guy down. It is very, very strong. He has got Trample. I may find a place for that in the future. I may do. But for now, it's going to stay out. Iridescent Angel, another fantastic card. It costs 7 for a 4/4. She does have protection from all colours. That basically means she can't be targeted by anything that has a colour in its cost. So she can only be targeted by colourless instants, I guess. And she doesn't have protection from colourless creatures either. Good card, I didn't put it in. Nova Blast Worm. It does cost 7 for a 7/7. When he attacks, destroy all other creatures. Not for me. Phantom Nishoba, 7 for a 0/0, but with 7 1/1 counters on it. When it deals damage, you gain that much life, and if a damage will be dealt to him, remove a 1/1 counter. So yeah, it's very strong endgame, but I prefer my other endgame creatures, and I wanted a nice mana curve like I have, so I'm going to leave him out. The final one is Devout Invocation. Tap any number of untapped creatures you control, put a 4/4 white angel creature with flying onto the battlefield for each creature tapped this way. Now that would be fantastic, because you could even attack with one creature and tap all the rest and get loads of angels. Do you know, that is a good card, and I may even find a place for it yet. I've done a lot of testing with this deck. As it stands, it's very, very strong, so I'm happy with it right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this gives you an insight into how this deck can be played. Constructive criticism is always welcome, and feel free to leave a like and subscribe, it really helps. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. Take it easy.